You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, search efforts resume this morning for a 12-year-old swept away by Shoal Creek in Newton County. We'll have the latest.
A storm outbreak on Thursday morning throughout the Central Plains. We've actually lightened up quite a bit, but we've got more to come, and we've got the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And our spotlight on Branson returns with a trip to Whitewater Park. The KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now. Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. We begin this morning with our breaking news out of Newton County, Missouri. Crews resume a search for a 12-year-old girl who was swept away by Shoal Creek yesterday afternoon. Now, this is live video from Lime Kiln Park, north of Neosho, where it happened. Officials say they recovered a 34-year-old male from the water. He was taken to the hospital and last reported in critical condition. The search for the girl was expected to continue at 7 o'clock this morning. We'll be following through the morning and have the latest as it becomes available. Well, thunderstorms and heavy rain moved through the 4 states early overnight. Let's go straight to Michael Hayslip for a first look at the forecast.
Got a good thunderstorm outbreak this Thursday morning throughout the Central Plains. Now, we had the majority of our rain hit us overnight into early this morning, and as we stand here at the 7 o'clock hour, it's actually not looking too bad. Yeah, we've got some heavy rain there just on the other side of I-49 south of Nevada, but comparatively speaking to where we were 2 hours ago, we're trending in the right direction, and we haven't picked up any lightning either. We do have an extended flood warning for the Osage and Little Osage, as well as severe thunderstorm watches for counties indicated in the orange, those lasting until 8 a.m. There gives you all the lightning as it stays up to the north, but we will continue to track those. And speaking of tracks, future tracks showing us we are far from over. Heavy rain for this afternoon and this evening. It's going to bring additional flood watches and warnings, finally clearing off Friday morning and a chance to calm down as we head into a mild weekend.
Ready for the rain to be over so we can get to the weekend.
And for those of you that want to keep track of everything throughout the afternoon and evening hours, what you just saw right there is exactly what's about to pop up on the Skywatch Weather App. Remember, that is downloadable on all your mobile devices and absolutely free. We are in the midst of severe weather season, folks, and so it becomes a valuable tool, especially if you happen to be on the road, not only to look at what you are going to run into, but what your family and friends can experience while they're at home, and you can kind of keep an eye on them as well.
Great idea. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, new this morning, a Southwest Missouri woman and her boyfriend agreed to separate plea deals for not seeking medical treatment for their 3-year-old son in a timely manner before he died. 27-year-old Sarah Garby of Verona, Missouri, pleaded guilty to first-degree child endangerment. Her boyfriend, Caleb Williams, entered an Alford plea to 2 counts of endangerment. Both were charged with felony child abuse. The boy died from blunt force trauma to his abdomen in July of 2019. The couple admitted they did not seek medical treatment for the boy that could have prevented his death. The McDonald County Sheriff's Office says 2 suspects in an Anderson, Missouri shooting surrendered yesterday. Police say the shooting happened Tuesday around 8:30 p.m. on Stevens Drive. When officers arrived, they found a man with gunshot wounds who was taken to the hospital where he later died. Authorities say the man got into a fight with 2 other men who claimed he was hiding someone they were looking for. At some point, that fight escalated to gunfire from both sides. The 2 suspects ran, but after being identified, an attorney arranged for the surrender of both men. Authorities have not filed formal charges. 2 separate officer-involved shootings leave 1 suspect dead and 1 in the hospital. We begin with the fatal shooting that happened at a gas station in Columbia, Missouri. Authorities say police shot and killed 38-year-old James Sears III. He was wanted on parole violations and was armed at the time of the shooting. Missouri Highway Patrol is investigating the incident. And authorities expect an Olathe, Kansas suspect to make a full recovery after being shot by police. Officers say they responded to a call about a suspicious person in a parking lot. They say the man pulled a gun on them and one of them opened fire and wounded him. Police say the suspect fled on foot and they were able to take him into custody. The officers involved are on administrative leave pending an investigation. Well, there's now a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Michael Martzloff and Mark Hopkins II. The Cherokee County Sheriff says they escaped from the jail in Columbus through a plumbing system late Monday night. The men are considered armed and dangerous. Hopkins was in jail in connection with the June double homicide, and Martzloff was held on felony narcotic charges. Anyone with information should contact the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. 2 are dead following a crash in Labet County, Kansas. Authorities with the Kansas State Highway Patrol say it happened around 2 in the afternoon yesterday on US 59. They say a vehicle driven by 43-year-old Jason Hopkins of Parsons crossed the center line and collided head-on with 67-year-old Robert Rowe of Oswego. Hopkins and Rowe were both pronounced dead at the scene. Hopkins' passenger, 41-year-old Jennifer Fowler of Parsons, was taken to the hospital with suspected serious injuries. The Fort Scott, Kansas Economic Development Director is suing the city, alleging discrimination based on her sex. Rachel Pruitt claims one of the city's commissioners treated her differently than her male counterparts by spreading false rumors, singling her out for criticism, and threatening her job. In June of last year, Pruitt was charged with possession of marijuana and possession of paraphernalia, charges she claims are bogus. She was placed on unpaid leave for a short period. The day after she was charged, Pruitt filed a charge of discrimination with the Kansas Human Rights Commission based on sex discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. In the lawsuit, Pruitt calls Commissioner Kevin Allen, quote, my primary harasser, accusing him of making false rumors of affairs and harassing her based on her sex. We reached out to the city, who had no comment, as well as Commissioner Allen and Pruitt's attorney, but they have not responded. You can find the full complaint on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter is resigning effective June 1st. In a release, Hunter says, quote, regrettably, certain personal matters that are becoming public will become a distraction for this office. The Office of Attorney General is one of the most important positions in state government. I cannot allow a personal issue to overshadow the vital work the attorney's agents and support staff do on behalf of Oklahomans, end quote. The statement did not describe the personal matters. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says Hunter informed him of his resignation Wednesday morning. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly and Transportation Secretary Julie Lorenz announced more than 30 transportation projects across the state. Projects totaling more than $42 million include a street project in Cherryvale, Kansas. Special Olympics New Hope in Pittsburgh hosted a track and field competition. Special Olympics athletes participated in several activities at Pitt State's Plaster Center.
The city of Pittsburgh has really been a great supporter for the Special Olympics, and specifically even Pittsburgh State University. They allowed us to host this event here outside in this beautiful weather. We've had such great weather, so it's been really, really great for our athletes to come on out and get to see their friends and see the different people. And even we've had so many people from the community come out and cheer and just support our athletes in so many different ways.
You can find an interview with some of the athletes on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, a professional food eater came to the 4 states to test his talents in Jasper, Missouri. And if you're one of Randy Santel's 1.3 million YouTube subscribers, you already know his work. He travels the country taking on eating challenges at restaurants. And yesterday, he stopped at Judy's Truck Stop in Jasper to take on Judy's Triple Cheeseburger Challenge. Now, in the past, he's indulged in massive seafood platters, 40 tacos, and a monster Philly cheesesteak. You might be wondering, how does he eat all that and remain mobile?
Well, the big kind of fun with everything in the early days was it was a fun motivation to keep on exercising, because I knew that if I kept on doing challenges and didn't exercise, I would get like I am now. But now is because I just do so many food challenges.
Santel did finish the triple burger. It took him about 15 minutes. You can try it yourself at Judy's on North 4th Street in Jasper, Missouri. You want to give it a shot, Michael?
I'm back. No, Judy wins. It's hard to believe we've got blue sky over 7th and Rangeline, considering where we were just a couple hours ago when we were monitoring lightning strikes at this exact same location. Currently, we sit at 69 degrees. We do have a little bit of rain still coming down, nothing like what's going on in the Central Plains. We've actually cleared out since 5 o'clock this morning, luckily coming off of what we had last night and this morning, where we had 2.5, 3 inches of rain through southeast Kansas. Right now, we've got a little pop-up right there just on the other side of Nevada. That's coming down at a pretty good clip. More importantly, how about watches and warnings that we have in effect? The flood warning for the Osage now extended to the Little Osage and everything that you see there in orange. A severe thunderstorm watch. It's a watch for our counties in orange, but that's the mess that they have lasting up toward Kansas City. We're not done. We're going to get more this afternoon, even though we're getting a morning break, and that will means flooding concerns of the utmost importance as it lasts into the evening hours. Tanya?
Well, up next, Tulsa's secret.
It's one of the worst acts of racial violence in the nation's history, but for decades it wasn't discussed. I'm Danya Backus with a look at what was lost in Tulsa's 1921 race massacre.
And a local clinic works to get teens vaccinated against COVID-19. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. A new review shows almost 3/4 of moderate to serious COVID cases result in long-term symptoms. Researchers at Stanford University looked at 45 existing studies that followed close to 10,000 patients. They found 73% of those patients had symptoms up to 6 months after recovering from the infection. 40% experienced fatigue, 36% reported shortness of breath, and 25% said they had trouble concentrating, a condition known as brain fog. Most of the patients were also hospitalized, which means it's not known how frequent long-lasting symptoms are in people who recovered from COVID at home. With the FDA recently authorizing the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for kids as young as 12, vaccination clinics are starting to pop up aimed at that age group. The 4-state area is no exception. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to a local pharmacist who will soon be vaccinating children ages 12 and up, and also asked a 4-state parent whether her kids will get the shot.
Alyssa Whittington is a Webb City mom whose kids aren't old enough to get vaccinated against COVID-19. But even if they were, Alyssa would still want to know more.
I do vaccinations, but it's kind of a wait and see type thing right now.
With the FDA's recent approval of the Pfizer vaccine for the 12 to 15 age group, the Joplin area's Stone's Corner Pharmacy will soon be hosting a vaccination clinic for ages 12 and up. But they want to do more than just that. The pharmacy's owner also wants his team to be a source of information for parents and guardians with questions about kids and the COVID-19 vaccine. And he knows some of those queries can get personal.
Did you take it? Yes, I did. And we got it as soon as we were available. And the same with children. Would you give it to your kids? Well, my kids aren't in the age range, but they're 5, 7, and 9. But if they were, I would be fine with giving it to my kids. And that's where the rubber meets the road. That's what people want to know.
The Stone's Corner team is also happy to go over the latest data from the CDC, FDA, and other reputable health organizations with parents concerned about their kids and coronavirus vaccines. But they also understand many people want to do the research themselves. And for them, the pharmacy team has some advice.
The biggest way to tell if something is a reputable site, generally they will cite the references.
Alyssa Whittington may not be bringing her kids to Stone's Corner's next vaccination clinic, but she wants to learn more before her kids are old enough and she has to make a decision.
I would listen and I'd be willing to understand, but as far as doing them, I'm still unsure.
Fortunately, she's got experts in her own backyard. In Webb City, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Well, Stone's Corner Pharmacy will offer the Pfizer vaccine for ages 12 and up this Friday at its Webb City location from 2 to 6:30. Now, they do need folks to make an appointment, and those under the age of 18 will need a parent or guardian's permission. An incredible sight in the night sky. A supermoon was visible Wednesday evening in Australia. Qantas Airlines offered passengers the chance to see it up close. The scenic journey took people up 43,000 feet to catch a glimpse. Pretty cool. The flight, tailored to accommodate the best viewing, sold out in just a couple of minutes. Australia sits in what scientists call the eclipse zone, making for a front row seat to the event. Supermoons occur when the moon is at its closest point in its orbit to Earth, which means the moon looks brighter and bigger to the human eye. The last one visible from Australia was in 2001. The next won't come until the year 2033.
And unfortunately, Mother Nature decided that late last night, early this morning, she wasn't going to give us a shot of the moon. And hard to believe that we're seeing the clouds break up right now over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin, and we're actually getting a much needed break from last night into this morning. Anywhere from 2.5 inches of rain already falling through portions of southeast Kansas. Nice little dry slot that's deserved at this point in time. The rain that we do still have lingering, moving east of I-49, just on the other side of Nevada. Every now and then we'll get a pop-up that'll last about 5 to 10 minutes, give you some heavy rain, and then kind of dissipate, move off to the east. Everything out to the west looking good for the time being. And as far as our flood warnings go, we have extended that for the Osage and now Little Osage River. And now we've got counties in orange. That's a severe thunderstorm watch. Just far northern portion has been clipped by some heavy rain and lightning. We've yet to encounter any severe thunderstorm warning. So that's a very, very positive for our morning so far. 69 right now in Joplin, 72 in Independence and Miami. Let's go 68 in Monette. Now, as far as what we've got cooking future track wise, we are not done with the rain. Temperatures up into the high 70s, low 80s, and watch this thing gather for the afternoon and then sweep down upon us all the way through Thursday night, not clearing off until Friday morning. Once we do begin to clear off, mild temps and sunshine from Friday through Sunday. Just be apprised, we're going to have some more flood watches by the time we're done with Thursday. We'll be back with Spotlight on Branson right after this.
Nothing says summer quite like this destination right behind me. We're of course at Whitewater, where we are just days away from opening weekend, Memorial Day weekend. And here with me to talk more about Whitewater this year is Gerald Jenkins, the General Manager.
Hey, welcome. We're glad to have you here, and we're really excited for 2021 at Whitewater this year.
As you should be. It's going to be a great year. And let's just start about Whitewater in general, Gerald. And for anyone who's never visited this magnificent property, tell us about all the amazing things you have.
We're a 13-acre park. We opened in 1980, so we're actually 41 years old this year, so and we're very proud of it. We have a variety of rides, of course. We have our wave pool, which is 500,000, that generates waves. Guests love it. The lazy river, which is a beautiful tropic setting for those folks that just want a little slower pace for the day. Drop slides, all kinds of tube rides, a lot of exciting things for people to do, and it's a great place to bring for mom to bring her family.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people think of it as a kids destination, which it is, but adults have fun here too.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of everything for somebody in the family. So thrill rides, chill rides, I mean, you name it, we've got it.
Awesome. I want to transition a little bit and talk about a very cool event you guys are having in July. I understand it's called Nightwater, is that correct?
Yeah, and we've had Nightwater before, but we're putting a different spin on it this year. We wanted to do something a little bit different. Nightwater historically is closed at 10 o'clock, so really you got it in the middle of summer, you got about an hour maybe of nighttime riding time. This year we're going to stay open until midnight for 4 days, from July 14th to July 17th. We'll have fireworks every night, and we'll have some other things that we're still working on that we're going to announce later that'll really enhance the nighttime experience. So we're excited about it, and I think the guests will really love the changes that we're making.
And do people need to buy those tickets in advance, or how does that work?
No, well, you can buy them in advance at, of course, at silverdollarcity.com at the ticketing site, or it's a walk-in.
Fantastic. Hard to beat that. Well, Gerald, thank you so much. And sounds like a lot of cool things are happening here at Whitewater in 2021. So make sure you check it out when you're in Branson this summer.
All right, thank you.
Summer's here. It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Andrew Hilger, who served in the United States Army in 2011 and 2012. He fought in Afghanistan, his hometown, Fairland, Oklahoma. We are proud to salute Andrew Hilger, our four-state hero. In a matter of hours, what was known as Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was decimated. A seemingly innocent incident in an elevator set off what would become one of the nation's worst incidents of racial violence. However, for decades, what happened in Tulsa wasn't discussed. Danya Bacchus takes a look at what was lost and how the history was suppressed.
It's hard to put a price tag on all that was lost in Tulsa, Oklahoma's Greenwood district, known as Black Wall Street, between May 31st and June 1st, 1921. White mob violence destroyed nearly every building, including my family's Dreamland Theater. The exact number of the dead, still unknown to this day, because the bodies of those killed were buried in mass graves.
There was no way to account for or provide recompense for the lives lost and the trauma that was suffered.
Black residents, including my family, filed more than $1 million in insurance claims. All of the claims were denied.
They had followed sort of the dream of American entrepreneurship that had been taken from them in this brutal act of racist violence.
Victor Lukerson is a journalist and author researching the Tulsa Race Massacre.
And they still sort of thought or hoped that the law would ultimately provide them some level of recompense. When that did not happen,
the courts decided insurance companies did not have to pay because of a clause saying they weren't responsible for loss caused by a riot. Just like the lawsuits were dismissed, so was any memory of the massacre.
When did you first learn about our family history?
I believe I may have been 6 or 7 years old.
My cousin, Charles Christopher, grew up in Tulsa. His mother and my grandfather were siblings, children of W.D. Williams, a massacre survivor.
And then did you start questioning, like, what is this? Did you have the conversation with your mother then about what happened?
She never did really discuss it at all. It was all kind of buried under the carpet.
Was it talked about in the community at all?
It wasn't talked about whatsoever.
In the Black community, it said the pain was too deep and there was fear it could happen again.
In white Tulsa, the story of the massacre was intentionally suppressed for more than 50 years.
Scott Ellsworth is a Tulsa native and historian.
The white daily newspapers, the Tribune and the World, went out of their way never to mention it. Official records disappeared.
100 years later, the race massacre's history is now in the forefront, and the important story of resilience and rebuilding is being told. Danya Backus, CBS News, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
No one was ever prosecuted or punished for the massacre. On June 1st, the city of Tulsa will begin a full excavation and analysis of a potential mass grave site. On Monday, May 31st, Gayle King will host a CBS News special, Tulsa 1921, an American Tragedy. The primetime special airs at 9 p.m. on our sister station, KOAM. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, rising home values.
Taxpayers across the area are about to see an increase in their personal property taxes. I'm Zach Dodge with how the current housing market could impact that more in the future. Coming up.
And we'll tell you about a new track and field event coming to the Kansas State competition this year. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:32. Let's take a look at today's top stories. We'll start with our breaking news out of Newton County, Missouri. Crews have continued a search for a 12-year-old girl who was swept away by Shoal Creek yesterday afternoon. Now, this is live video from Lime Kiln Park north of Neosho where it happened. Officials say they did recover a 34-year-old male from the water. He was taken to the hospital and last reported in critical condition. Search for the girl resumed at 7 this morning, and we will be following this story and have the latest as it comes available. Also new this morning, a Southwest Missouri woman and her boyfriend agreed to separate plea deals for not seeking medical treatment for her 3-year-old son in a timely manner before he died. 27-year-old Sarah Garby of Verona, Missouri pleaded guilty to first-degree child endangerment. Her boyfriend, Caleb Williams, entered an Alford plea to 2 counts of endangerment. Both were charged with felony child abuse. The boy died from blunt force trauma to his abdomen in July of 2019. The couple admitted they did not seek medical treatment for the boy that could have prevented his death. McDonald County Sheriff's Office says 2 suspects in an Anderson, Missouri shooting surrendered yesterday. Police say the shooting happened Tuesday around 8:30 p.m. on Stevens Drive. When officers arrived, they found a man with a gunshot wound who was taken to the hospital where he later died. Authorities say the man got into a fight with 2 other men who claimed he was hiding someone they were looking for. At some point, that fight escalated to gunfire from both sides. The two suspects ran, but after being identified, an attorney arranged for the surrender of both men. Authorities have not filed formal charges. There's now a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Michael Martzloff and Mark Hopkins II. The Cherokee County Sheriff says they escaped from the jail in Columbus through a plumbing system late Monday night. The men are considered armed and dangerous. Hopkins was in jail in connection with the June double homicide. Martzloff was held on felony narcotic charges. Anyone with information should contact the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office. Two are dead following a crash in Labet County, Kansas. Authorities with the Kansas State Highway Patrol say it happened around 2 in the afternoon on US 59. They say a vehicle driven by 43-year-old Jason Hopkins of Parsons crossed the center line and collided head-on with 67-year-old Robert Rowe of Oswego. Hopkins and Rowe were both pronounced dead at the scene. Hopkins' passenger, 41-year-old Jennifer Fowler of Parsons, was taken to the hospital with suspected serious injuries. The driver is in the hospital after a rollover on I-44 early this morning. Joplin police tell us his vehicle swiped another car and went off the road. Authorities plan to release more information later today. A new Oklahoma law lets cities ban guns at large events and public places, but only if they meet minimum security requirements. Those minimum security requirements include metal fencing at least 8 feet high. There would also need to be uniformed police officers controlling the entrances with metal detectors. And an apparent tornado touches down near the Kansas-Nebraska state line. This video comes out of Rawlins County, Kansas. The area went under a tornado warning yesterday evening. There are no immediate reports of any injuries from the storm, and it appeared it remained largely over open fields.
Our threat of severe weather, Tanya, not over for our Thursday as of yet. Even though we're seeing blue sky over 7th and Range Line, we've still got an afternoon and evening to go. Pretty good action throughout the entire Central Plains, and we're just lucking out compared to what we had last night and early this morning. The fact that we've just got a little rain coming down here throughout southwest Missouri, trying to move its way in there in southeast Kansas. But really, like I said, comparatively speaking, where we had 2.5, almost 3 inches of rain through SEK. Lightning that we're looking at in Wichita, put on a little cheat bar right there, as I like to call it, just shows you that this one is moving toward us. It's a slow mover though, so we've got quite a ways before it is upon us. Flood warnings for the Osage and Little Osage in green, the orange indicating a severe thunderstorm watch. You've got Bates, Lynn, Cass, Miami County lasting all the way until 8 a.m. right there, and that gives you an idea how it is skirting just to the north of our highlighted counties. Let's get to the important stuff. Temperatures are going to be up into the high 70s today. This is the important stuff because our future track has very heavy rain that's going to pack high winds, even the possibility of hail, and it rolls through all the way into early Friday night. You'll notice as you creep down to the central and southern portion of the 4 states, that is the elevated risk category that lasts until Friday morning. Then we can calm down, clear out, and have temperatures in the 70s. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
The Stables.
Our Something to Talk About this morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, asking if there should be a commission to investigate the attack on the Capitol. Right now, we've seen a complete flip. We actually started out ranging in the high 60s, low 70s with the no's. Right now, it's flipped around. We've got 52% of you saying yes. There's a chance the Senate votes on a possible commission this afternoon. The Senate has said that it will vote against a possible commission. Make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Now, time to return to Spotlight on Branson.
Branson, of course, got its start as a lake destination, and it's still the same in 2021. And we're, of course, at the premier destination for all things Table Rock Lake, and that is Showboat Branson Belle. And joined with me is a popular face you'll see on the Belle this year and in previous years, Christopher James. Good morning.
Yeah. Hi. I love it. I've been here for almost 16 years now on the Showboat, doing the comedy, the magic, and it's a great experience for everybody that comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, 2021, as you do with every year, add some new things, some new exciting entertainment. So can you give our audience a tease of what's going to happen?
Well, this year we had a lot of rehearsals because we added in some new segments. We have a lot of new music in the show. We feature a performer. We have a special segment, I don't want to give that away yet. New interactive parts for the audience, and virtually an entirely new show.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's bring in here Captain James as well, our senior captain with Showboat Branson Bell. And, you know, it may seem pretty self-explanatory, but let's just kind of walk through, if somebody's never been here before, what they can experience when coming on property.
Yeah, when they come here, they get to enjoy our beautiful shops up here on the landing. And then you come on board, and we give you a great big welcome on board. I come out, meet the audience. Our boat leaves the dock at that time, thanks to Captain James and our marine crew there. And they regulate this boat and keep it nice and clean, as you can see here. And it's a great cruise for everyone as well. And then we have our pre-show, our dinner. We give you about 45 minutes to go out, walk around, maybe even chat with the captain here up there in the pilot house. And then the show begins after the little cruise time there. And it is about an hour of craziness. We have the music, the dancing, it's non-stop. And I'll tell you, our entertainers are exhausted by the end of this.
I bet they are. And sometimes you run 2 shows a day, is that right?
Oh, sometimes we run 3 shows.
Well, there you go.
I think on Saturdays this year, we have 3 shows almost every Saturday.
Which is great for the public. Many times to join. it fits into basically any schedule. So let's talk about tickets. What's the best way for people to get those?
Well, our shows run 12, 4 o'clock, and 8 o'clock. Okay. And you'll want to check the website, showboatbransonbell.com. You can Google it, all of that, to get all the information and call. Come out and see us, meet the captain, say hi to us out there in the lobby after the show.
Awesome. Christopher, Captain James, thank you both so much. Make sure you visit Showboat Branson Bell on your next Branson vacation.
Home values across the 4 states are up, and that's good for people hoping to sell their homes now, but it could have an impact on everyone's pockets a few years down the line. KOAM's Zach Dodge explains why.
Home prices, as of this morning when I pulled it, are on average up 13%.
Jonathan Lundy with the Lundy Homes team at Keller Williams says home values have gone up faster than many have ever seen.
We're up from $149,000 to $170,000 on average.
With interest rates in the low single digits, the housing market just keeps getting hotter, where homes sell within days of hitting the market and oftentimes selling for more than the asking price.
It really is a great market for the seller and for the buyer.
There is quite a few increases.
That was Newton County Assessor Cheryl Perkins, who's getting ready to let many homeowners know that their assessed valuation has increased, leading to a higher property tax.
This year, being 2021, is reassessment, so we are required by state to have values as close to market value as we can.
But they're using sales letters from 2019 to determine the valuation for 2021, meaning what's happening in the housing market now could cause an increase in 2023 if the market doesn't start to level out.
I wouldn't have any way of estimating how much of an increase it would be. I would hope not much, because I don't like to make it rough on the taxpayer.
She says we'll have to see what happens over the next several months to know what we might see in 23. And for realtors, they hope there's not a significant drop, because increases like we're seeing won't go on forever.
Locally, there's a lot of industry coming to town. There's a lot of things that have happened. Factories, there are jobs here. And so locally, we hope that trajectory will continue. Maybe it slows, maybe it plateaus, but hopefully it's not a drop.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Perkins says letters telling people their new assessed valuation should be going out towards the beginning of June. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. Wheelchair athletes will be recognized by KSHSAA for the first time at a state track and field meet this year, having separate 100-meter and 400-meter races. Chelsea Croft brings us this week's Rising Stars making history this weekend.
It's all a pretty close community. We all know each other. We've all known each other for quite a while now. It's all pretty tight since there's so few of us.
All of them are, all that I know of, are in Wichita Adaptive Sports, so we know each other.
They may not be new to each other, but competing for Acacia State Championship will be.
Grant Pierce and Bishop Carroll's Micah Campbell are 2 of 6 wheelchair-bound athletes participating in the first ever Acacia wheelchair racing events.
You know, I think Micah and this group will be trailblazers that show other people that this is something that can be done.
As Carroll's head coach, this will be Corey Sword's first year ever coaching a wheelchair athlete, just like Jivy Foster and Brandon McMillan at Wichita Heights.
He pretty much taught me the wheelchair side of it. I just taught him the workout side of it, but they do pretty much the same workout, maybe just higher volume, either more reps or longer distance.
It was really difficult learning everything by myself. It took probably even 2 years to really understand how my wheelchair worked and understand how to use it properly.
Pierce started wheelchair track in 7th grade after learning he had a rare vascular defect. Campbell was born with spina bifida and has been racing for the last 5 years.
We were at one track meet and somebody yelled, "Wow, he's in a wheelchair." And I'm like, man, do y'all understand that what everyone else is doing with their legs, he's doing with his arms? And you know, most times your upper body is not as strong as your lower body.
That is very cool. Glad to see that happening.
And hopefully, weather permitting, KSHSAA can finish off.
Yeah, looks to be a pretty good weekend, huh?
All right, so here's what we've got on the Skywatch storm. I mean, just thunderstorm activity dominating the upper plains. We got all of ours last night, early this morning, and now we've actually calmed down quite a bit. But even with that being said, I'm going to throw on the precipitation numbers for the past 24 hours. Look at what we've had right there throughout southeast Kansas, 2.5, almost 3 inches of rain. That's going to eclipse 3 inches here by the time it's said and done. Let's go back to the radar here. Look at what we've got cooking currently. It's really the northern portion of the 4 states, and so no surprise when we talk about what's up to the north, especially with the amount of lightning and wind that they've had associated with that. We do not have any severe thunderstorm warnings. We do, however, have watches, and you can see those are indicated there in the orange, lasting until 8 a.m. Now, for round 2, we turn our attention out to the west. What's moving out of Wichita? Once again, this thing hasn't spawned any watches or warnings, and it's a very slow mover. But as this gathers energy from, say, Wichita down to, say, Stillwater, that's where we're going to see it pick up. So, you know, we're going to concentrate on the Kansas-Oklahoma state line as this thing moves towards us. Once again, we've got most of the morning to go here because it's just not moving very fast. As a matter of fact, if we put on the tracks right there, that's a 2-hour track where it barely budges. But that's the thing with slow movers too. That means when it gets here, it is going to dump a fair amount of rain upon us. When we talk about our weather trend for today, we've got temperatures that are already sitting somewhere in the low 70s. So that's hard to beat temperature-wise. But here's the thing, the radar can be really deceiving right now because it looks nice and clear and, you know, say, oh, we're going to get through Thursday unscathed, we're done with it. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Out to the west, there's that one that begins to gather, and this afternoon, it is upon us. And that is not only torrential rain, but that's also the threat of high winds and hail as it lifts all the way through into Thursday night. The severe thunderstorm risk map also has us in the elevated category as far as what we can anticipate for the afternoon and evening hours. You notice that's pretty widespread. Look at that, all the way from northwestern Texas up through most of Oklahoma and then right through southern portions of the 4 states, right along, guess what, I-44, you guessed it. So I need everybody to be apprised of radars, updates, warnings, and watches for this afternoon and evening when it really kicks back in. Clear out on Friday, get some sunshine headed into the weekend. Let's just be safe on this Thursday. We'll be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
This morning, Newton County crews continue the search for a 12-year-old girl swept away by Shoal Creek yesterday afternoon. This is live video from Lime Kiln Park north of Neosho where it happened. Last night, officials say they recovered a 34-year-old male from the water. He was taken to the hospital and last reported in critical condition. We'll be following this through the morning and have the latest today on the KOAM News at noon. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Final look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker going to show us that we're getting a nice, much-needed morning break coming off of what we had last night and early this morning. We will keep our attention turned out to the west to see what develops there from Wichita down to the Oklahoma state line, because it is going to be upon us this afternoon, and when it does, it is going to bring torrential rainfall and high winds as well. And so it gives you an idea how that thing just picks up and gets on us rather quickly all the way through Thursday night. So make sure that you not only have the Skywatch Weather App, it is free, downloadable on all your mobile devices. Keep it right here on KOAM and Fox 14 throughout the course of the night to see what other warnings and watches pop up on us.
Uncorking a bottle of history. 200-year-old wine intended for Napoleon has sold at auction for $30,000, and that's according to the Cape Fine and Rare Wine Auction. Company says the bottle of Grand Constance 1821 is one of what may be just 12 remaining in the world. Foodandwine.com reports the sweet red wine is still drinkable and that it was opened but recorked in 2019 to ensure that its quality remained intact. Head of the auction called it, quote, arguably one of the most precious, scarce, and coveted wines in the world.
I want to thank you all for letting us put the good in your morning. We will be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.